and you could literally just see people going, oh wow, oh gosh, well, this isn't Ted Lasso.
Well, let's talk about the finessing of the relationship between a much expanded audience and obviously through Taskmaster as well, that there's still a very kind of I'm sure there is still a very potent Taskmaster effect even on season whatever we're on now, in terms of introducing comics to new people. But obviously with Lasso, you're doing something very, very different to Nate. So when was the first time, or how did you kind of apprehend it? How did you take those first steps of going like, oh, I wonder if I'll need a joke to deal with this, or I wonder if I'll need
instantly, I mean, as soon as, because it was quite a sleeper hit over here, in the UK. In terms of season one, and obviously it came out over the pandemic, so we were sheltered from any kind of success because we weren't traveling, doing press. It sort of hit the ground running in the States, I believe, but over here it was less. It was just less people. Fewer people had Apple TV, I guess. But by the time it kind of got around to sort of season 2. So I guess talking 2022, I think that was, it had really started to get a lot of traction here as well. And I knew that I was going to do the best and worst of show, sort of off the back of like Intelligence and Ted Lasso. And I'd never ever toured before, ever. I'd only ever done Swallow.
I couldn't believe you'd never toured. I can't believe you put all of that effort into all of those Edinburgh shows and then didn't tour them. Was it because they were massive props and faff, or reliance on other cast members, or?
I guess with the musicals, that's definitely true, the practical limitations. But I no desire to, because I had a young family, and
of course.
Back when I got married in 2014, which was when Dracula. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I gigged obviously all around the country at Swallow, but I'd never done my own shows, and those had been pretty much restricted to Edinburgh and London, really. Okay. So, yeah, but anyway, and I was working with Berk's Nest because we'd started working on A Christmas Carolish, and Owen was like, oh, you should do a tour of Swallow and sort of test the waters a little bit. And so, it was sort of half new, half old, really. Well, no, maybe 2/3 new, 2/3 old, 1/3 new. And that was the first time I got wind of it, because I guess the biggest room we played on that was like Brighton Theatre Royal. I don't know how big that is, probably like 900 or something. But most of them were probably more like around the sort of 600 seater mark. And I remember even then that feeling like, like a really big step up. The biggest rooms I was sort of playing in Edinburgh was like 300 seaters. And it was the first thing I said was like, right, who's here because of Ted Lasso or not? And that because I had to address it head on. And in fact, Rose Johnson and Tessa Coates, who are sort of alternating support on that show, they would often mention it, and they'd go, give us a whoop if you've seen Mr. Swallow before. It's like 50% of people give, or if you've seen Ted Lasso. And, it was, I was really having to kind of play sort of both sides of that audience. But the most sort of striking example was when I then did that show in New York at the Town Hall. I forgot where it is, but it's central. It's not like Times Square, but it's near Times Square, basically. It's like a 1,200 seater. It had sold out, not because anyone has seen Mr. Swallow, but because everyone had seen Ted Lasso. And Alex Edelman very kindly opened for me as like a kind of, just to kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And he bless him, he literally was saying things like, now look, Mr. Swallow is a character and, it's quite, bombastic or whatever. Anyway, and I went on, and it's like, oh my God. And, I'm on roller skates for that show as well. And you could literally just see people going, oh wow, oh gosh, well, this isn't Ted Lasso. And it honestly, Stu, felt like back in 2010, which was the memory lecture Swallow show, which was the first time I had decided to do Swallow as an hour. Prior to then, Swallow had been a part of a multi-character show, and that was the first time I'd done Swallow as an hour. And I distinctly remember being able to like see even like Margaret Cabourn Smith and other fellow comics going, oh no, he's doing this for an hour. Okay, all right. And it's just like that. It's like starting again, but in the best possible way, because I at least feel that I have the confidence of having done the character for so many years now, and solid material as well. So I was like, well, now it's just about making sure I identify those large pockets of the audience which aren't really on board, and just trying to get them to kind of come with me. And I find those some of the most satisfying gigs. And it's the same true now. Maybe it was more obvious for that first tour. This time round, even though the rooms are bigger, I feel there is a critical mass. Thus far, there has always been a critical mass of people who I think have either seen previous live tour, actually, or Cats of the Countdown, or Tasman, or something, enough for them to be comfortable with me being a live comic presence. But yeah, you absolutely have to work with those people and get them on board and not go too fast. And but I find those really satisfying, those gigs, actually.